Hello, you are most welcome. Yeah, it's Henry the computer guy, and this is our third video about the introduction to databases. Actually, in this video, we are only going to be talking about four things, that is the database views, the field names, the data types, and the description. But our main focus is only going to be on the data types. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the real practice and see how this can be done. So now, when you look at our desktop, we are having our database and it is called a school database. It's the one we are going to be using. And I'm going to be opening it by right-clicking onto it and come to the option that says open and give it some time to load. And having loaded, it is going to display just like that. And our name is at the top here. That is the school database. Then below here, we have some different tabs and we are going to be looking at how we can use them. Then on this side, we are going to be having all the access objects. Remember, we talked about the objects in database objects, and that is, for example, we shall have the tables, we shall have the forms, we shall have the queries, and we shall have the reports. So all that information is going to be displayed at this section or down here. So now, what are we going to begin with? So we're going to begin by talking about the database views. What is the difference between the design view and the datasheet view? So when you come to this option that says view and click on it, you're going to find out that it is inactive. Why is it inactive? It is just because we are not having any table into our database. So the first thing we have to do is to create a table and we shall be able to use the views. So you're going to come to the section or option or the tab that says create, and having clicked on it, you're going to be selecting the option that says table. And after clicking on table, it will be displayed for you just like that. And whenever you want to use that table, remember Access automatically will ask you to save that information before you use it. So when I come to the views up here, we have two major views here, and that is the datasheet view and the design view. So what is the principal difference between the two? So when I talk about the datasheet view first, this one will help you to show the data in the database. And it will also allow you to enter and edit the data that you're having. But what you have to note is that it does not let you change the format of the database other than some minor changes. For example, the display column width. That is what we can do with the datasheet view. So when we talk about the design view, whenever you're going to design your database, you'll have to begin with the design view. And this one will allow you to create or change the table, the forms, and other database objects. For example, if you also wanted to make some configurations on the fields, then you'll be able to do it under the design view. What you have to know is that whenever you're going to create a table into a database, you'll begin with the design view. Then after creating that table, you will go to the datasheet view and start entering or editing your data. So I think we have gotten a difference between the design view and the datasheet view. So let's begin with the design view, as we have said that we shall be beginning with the design view. Click on it. After clicking on the design view, what you have to note is that they will ask you to first of all give that table a name. And remember, we are dealing with a school. Let's use a name for the table related to a school. For example, I'm going to be calling this one students table. So it's going to be the students table we are going to be working with. So after that, I'm going to click OK. And having clicked OK, they are going to provide us with some information here. For example, the field name, the data type, and the description. So what is the meaning of this field name? A field name is actually a name that you give to a column in a table. Then when we talk about a data type, this one will determine what kind of data that is going to be stored in a certain field or a given field. When we talk about the description, this is always optional, and this makes your database fields easier to fill out and use by providing users with on-screen instructions and help. For example, if you wanted your ID, if you tell you're going to be using ID, giving it auto number, then you have to come here and elaborate to that person who is going to use that database. Let's say enter ID as, let's say 001. So it will be just making things easier for people who are filling in the data into your database. So now, before we actually fill in these things, let's look at the diagram of a table and we understand it clearly. So this is an example of a table in a database. So a table can as well be called a relation. So the entire, this item you're seeing is a relation or a table. And remember, a table has columns and rows. And when we have columns here, these columns are going to be called the attributes. And the records here or the rows are going to be called the tuple or the rows or the records. When you fill in data into your table, these are going to be appearing as records. So another name for records, they can be rows or tuple. Then we shall have the data inside our, for example, if you get one kind of data, that can be called the data value. Then another thing we have here is the field names up here. These are the headings that you're seeing in each column. So we have the customer ID here, we have the first name, we have the last name, and we have the birth date. Then up here, or at the beginning here, we have a field for the primary key. A primary key is a key that uniquely identifies the records in your table. That means that it will allow us to limit the entry of duplicate entries and data redundancy. That is the use of a primary key. And what you have to note on a primary key is that it cannot be left null or unknown. It cannot contain duplicate entries. So whenever you're using it, you have to note those items. It will always tell you that primary key cannot be left null. So you always have to fill in some information. So having understood information about a table, so we can begin entering our information. For example, our first field here, field name is going to be, so they always provide you with an ID that is automatically given to you, but you can always change that information to any that you feel you want. Let's use this one as arrival. Arrival number. We can call it arrival number. This is someone arrived as number one. We're going to use that as arrival number. We can make these ones to be automatically generated. So we are going to be using a data type that is called auto number. So we are not going to be filling information into this field. It will be generating these numbers automatically for us. So we are going to give it as auto number for them to be generated automatically. So when we come to field name number 2, and remember here we have a primary key. A primary key can always be changed. When you click to another field, you always type there what you want, then you can always be able to change it from here. So let's put in a second field as student. Let's put it as student ID. So now we are giving our ID to students, for example, S001, S002. So that is a combination of text and numbers. So it is going to be taking what we call text, because text allows combination of text and other characters or any other form of characters. So I'm going to be giving it a short text. But remember, we also have another option that says longer text. What is the difference between the two? So the shorter text provides you or has 4 bytes, whereas the longer text has 8 bytes. That means that it will provide only 10 rows, whereas the longer text will only provide up to 50 rows. So whenever you want to fill in too much data, you always have to use the longer text. I think in the older versions, it was called the memo, giving you a lot of characters to include into that field that you want. And text, it is only limited to a number of 255 characters. For example, when I select short text down here, it is limited to a number of 255 characters as the size. So whenever you want to write too much information, you always have to select the longer text. So now let's come and get the student's name. We come and put the student's name. Let's put the student's name. And always names are supposed to be in text. I'm not going to change this to any other data type. I'm going to choose a short text. Now we know the difference between the short and the longer text. Then when we come to this one, we are going to be choosing, let's say, the date of birth for the learner. And we always have to use what we call date stroke time. So we come and look for date stroke time. So having selected it here, we are seeing that we also have another data type that says date stroke time extended. So that one gives you a greater data range and a higher precision. And it is always not in all the previous versions. So in the previous versions, we only have date stroke time. They're all used for date and time information, but this one provides with a higher data range. So I'm going to be selecting date stroke time. Then I'll come to another option. For example, the field name. We can put the, let's say, position. If you wanted to give, let's say, a position, it depends on what you wanted to enter into your database. So I can use this one, for example, as a number. These ones are going to be filled by us, for example, not starting from 0. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 10, 12, 13, 14, and others. So we always have to provide that one as a number. So when we come to another field name, we can choose, for example, a gender. You have to choose the gender. And when we come here, we can choose either text, or we can choose a lookup wizard whereby someone is going to be selecting from the ones that you're having there. For example, F and M, someone will be selecting one of the two but not both. So I'll come and click on lookup wizard. And having clicked on lookup wizard, I'll have to type the values that someone is going to select from. I'll come and click on next. And having put that, I'm going to write here what I want someone to pick from. For example, female. Then number 2, I'll say, let's say male. So that person will come and select from these two items. I'll come and say next, then I can finish. So that person will be selecting from the values I've provided. If they say it was, let's say, the religion, you have 4 religions, you want someone to select from only those religions, you put the lookup wizard. Then let's come to another field name. For example, we have fees. And this is going to be, whenever you're dealing with monetary values, you're going to be selecting an option or data type that says currency. You can always adjust the currency from the field properties, and I think that will be in the next video. So for now, we are just selecting them. Then let's come and put, let's say, amount paid. If someone, we have a fee, let's say an amount of fees as, let's say 20,000, someone pays, let's say 10,000, that is going to be amount paid. So let's call this one amount paid. Amount paid. So it is also going to be in currency because it is dealing with monetary values. And having put that, we can also put either boarding, someone is in boarding section. For this one, we can either use yes or no, whereby if someone is in boarding, we'll be just selecting or checking the yes, or if it's not in boarding, then we can choose the no. So that is yes or no. Then we come and if at all we wanted to add a photo for that learner, we can also add photo. And for the photos, we use what we call the OLE, that is the object linking and embedding. You have photos, you have pictures, you have graphs, you have sound, so you always use what we call the object linking and embedding. Then another option we can use is, for example, you had some emails there, you had some websites, so you can always use an option of a data type that says hyperlink. Because it is a link, it can take you to that website that you have entered. Then another one, if you wanted some people to download some information from your database, you would always have to come and use an option. For example, if you put download here, download, you can always use that one as an attachment. You attach a file, then someone will be able to download it from your database. So assuming that we also wanted to add another field, for example, for the calculated field, let's say if we wanted to see the balance, someone paid certain amount of money and we wanted to put a balance, so we can always calculate that automatically. So we come to this and scroll down and put another field. We have the balance. For example, we have the balance. We are going to come here and use it as a calculated. Coming to the option that says calculated. Then we come and select this option. So now, assuming that we wanted to, for example, to subtract the fees and the amount paid. So I'll come and include that expression here. So what you have to note here is that in the expression, we don't include equal signs for the calculated equality. So I'm going to open my square bracket, and after opening it, I'll put in what I want. For example, this is going to be the fees. This is going to be the fees. Then I will close it. That means that I'm going to be subtracting the amount paid. So I will say minus, then I will open again my square bracket. Then I will put in amount paid, the way we wrote it in our table. Then I'll close my square bracket. So I'll come and say okay, and having done that, it will just automatically be updating my information basing on the formula that I've entered. So having put everything, I think we've exhausted all the data types. So we can come back to our view, then come and check the option that says data sheet view. We want to enter data there. So we're going to come and say yes, and it will take us to where we can include in the values. Remember, this was an auto number. We are not supposed to fill in something there. It is generated automatically for us. And whenever you try to type something there, it will not allow you. For example, we have the student's ID. I'm going to put, let's say, S001. So I'll come to the student's name. I can come and enlarge this one. Remember, we said that we can change the width in the datasheet view, and I've changed it, or I've enlarged it. So as we put in the value here, this number is going to be generated automatically. So I will come and put the name. Let's say I put in Namale. I put in Namale. After putting Namale, I can put the date of birth. I can also enlarge this a bit. Put in, let's say, this one was born on, let's say, 02 stroke, let's say 04, let's say 1999. Then we come to the position. We can come and put the position we want. Then say position is going to be 2. Then we come to the gender. Remember, we use the lookup wizard. We are going to be selecting. She's a female. Then we put the fees. The fees is actually going to be, we put a fees here. It's going to be, let's say, 20, let's make it 200,000. Then after that, amount paid, someone has paid already. Someone has paid 100,000. So is that person in boarding section? We can as well enlarge this to see it clearly. Is that person? We can as well push this one closer to this so that we can see the information clearly. We use the yes or no. That person is in boarding, and we are going to be putting the photo. If at all you wanted to put a photo here, remember they will not be displayed just like that. You're going to go onto your photo that you wanted to put there. For example, I will come and minimize this. I will come into my information and pick any photo that I have there. For example, this is a girl. I'll copy this photo, right click, come to more options, then come and click on copy. Then go back to your software, command, click Ctrl V to paste it there. So it will put for you package. You're not going to be able to view that image from here unless when you double click on it. For example, when you come and put other information here, the email, you can put any email, you can double click on it and be able to see the image. That's the image for that person. So you can come and close this. Then you come here and put the email. For example, if I use my email, I can say Henry Sechito, at gmail.com. So you've seen that this is an email. You can enlarge it also just like that. So it can always take you. Now it is appearing as a hyperlink. So you can always press Ctrl and click onto it. Then it will take you to that. So when we scroll aside here, we have some other information we had put. This information, we come here, let's see, we have the balance, and the balance has been automatically generated for us. Remember, we had another field here. Let's go back to the design view and see the fields that we had. So this is the option for downloading information. So you wanted to attach a file for someone to download it, you can always go and put it there. If we scroll to the other side, this is the option for the attachment. You'll come here, attach a file, double click on it, and add the file. For example, you'll come and click on add, then you'll come to your desktop and look for some information you have there. Let's say I have some invoice one. I can come and attach that one, such that when someone is onto my database can always be able to download it. So you're seeing that they are giving us the option number one. Here we don't have any. So let's do that one more time. So I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to give it, let's say I'm going to use my information. Let's say I'm going to put S00, let's say 2. And having put that information, I can come and put let's say another name. Let's say this is going to be John. This is going to be the date of birth. We put any, let's say 03, let's say 05, let's say 19, let's say 1995. We can come and pick the position. The position is going to be, let's say, number 1. Then we come and choose the gender. The gender is male. We come and choose the amount. Let's say it's going to be 100. Someone has paid 100. The amount he has to pay is 100,000. Let's make it 150. 150,000. Then amount paid, he has only paid 100. He has only paid 100,000. 100,000, and this person is not in boarding, so we are going to leave this one unchecked. Then we come to the package, we put a picture. I'm going to look for any picture. Let me say I use my pick. I will copy by right clicking on it. Then I'll come to the option that says copy. Then I'll come back to my software. I'll press Ctrl V for pasting. It will indicate it as a package. You cannot see the image from here. I can as well put the same email. Let's say Henry, can use another email, Henry Sechito at hotmail.com. So that is also an email. Then we can scroll a little bit and come and add an attachment. This is going to be invoice 2. I'll come and double click on it, then come and add that file. Let's say invoice 2. I'll come and say open. And having put there, I'll come and click OK. Then it is also indicating that we have one attachment. So that is exactly what we had for this video. We are focusing on what we call the data types and how we can use them and entering some information into our table. So it's been Henry the Computer Guy, and you feel that you're new to my channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell such that you're always notified when a new video has been uploaded. So bye-bye, I sign out. See you in the next video.